Okay, so Jerrett is from Farm Rebel. Farm Rebel has been a great supporter of what we're doing at Ag Steward. We strive to support and help them as well. Um, direct to direct to consumer marketing consulting, teaching out the systems, the principles, the mindset, the tools, the tactics, everything you need to be able to create a direct to consumer business. That is what Farm Rebel is about. They're an education company as well. They do educational summits similar to what we're doing here. Um, and I've known Cam King, the founder, for over 2 years and watched how he's grown. He's applauded me. He's encouraged me to take off and start Ag Steward. So it's been probably 4 years ago. Yeah, because he encouraged and prodded and poked me for a couple years before we actually launched Ag Steward. So, um, and it's been neat to see. It's been neat to see the growth of Farm Rebel and the influence that they've had in helping families become more profitable, doing something that's meaningful. We can raise the best beef in the world, Jared, but doggone it, if we can't sell it and we're just forced to sell in the commodity market, why do all that extra work, right? So there's got to be, there's got to be that bridge, and we're just not the best people. We are reclusive for a reason, and so that's why I love Farm Rebel. Is he creates some systems that the team has created some wonderful systems there to bridge the gap to know the things that we don't even know enough to ask when we start into direct to consumer marketing. So we're glad to see you. Good to see you on video. Glad you could
Glad to be
join
here.
us.
I'm having some fun tech stuff happening right now, but
Hey, don't we love technology? But yeah, we can see you. We're good. So let's roll with it.
yeah, so let's don't let technology be the hurdle for why you can't learn marketing and do sales. I
Yep.
absolutely hate technology with a passion, as I'm sure a lot of us here do, but it can serve us well. And so it's at its best when it can serve us. And we are living in an age now where the tech side of what is required to sell our products online has become more intuitive. It's become cheaper. In many cases, it's free. And so, listen, if I can do this, anybody can do this. So let's jump in. I'd like to encourage us. In this summit, we're learning how to raise a world class product, the healthiest for the human body, the healthiest for the environment. But this also needs to be the healthiest for your family's finances. And that's learning how to market what you do. And what we teach at Farm Rebel is one of the most profitable ways to be a meat producer is to sell your product direct to consumer. There are stats that say the average producer only earns 14 cents on every dollar of their product. And we just wholeheartedly reject that model at Farm Rebel. We are not fans of bureaucracy, and there's a reason we're called rebels. It's because we want you to take the power into your own hands and control the destiny of the future of your business. And so, really, the most profitable way we found to do that and why we preach it from the rooftops is we need you to sell direct to consumer. And if you've tried it before and it hasn't worked, if you can't figure out advertising and you just feel like you're throwing money into a money pit or lighting it on fire, listen out. That's what we're going to talk about today. I want to help you sell your product direct to consumer at a premium price and at the scale and volume and margin that you've only ever dreamed of. And now that we've gotten the fun and the hyperbole around the way, out of the way, I want us to think about this. We're producing a world class product. By the way, if you're here, you probably already have the best product in your area, and you're learning tips and tricks to get even better, to be more profitable. And so there is a second side to this that Jerrett was alluding to. You know, you can raise the best product, but until you can market it, you're really not in business, right? It's a hobby. And by the way, it's an expensive hobby. There's cheaper hobbies to dig into. If you want to try golf or watching football on Sundays, and there are cheaper hobbies to get into. So if you're not going to do this to be profitable, I would ask why do it at all. So moving into kind of the idea, I want you to start thinking of yourself And this is probably a stretch for a lot of us, but I want us to start thinking out of ourselves as we're not just in the business of livestock. We're not just in the business of raising a food product. You are primarily in the business of marketing your product. Okay. So that is a paradigm shift. That's a mindset shift you got to make to understand that while you're the best at something, you have to primarily be the best at selling it. And playing the direct to consumer game is where you do that. And so I want to talk about what's the power of marketing here. By the way, my talk today is called Push Button Beef Sales. And that's a term I invented 4-ish years ago, writing an ad script for our founder, Cam. I kind of did it as a joke and it took off. And so we're going to talk about push button beef sales. But before we do, I want us to talk about like, what is this marketing thing at all? And what's the power of it? Marketing, direct to consumer marketing, if you're trying to sell your product direct to consumer, getting your name out there is not your biggest problem for your business. It is also not the answer or the next step in how to sell more direct to consumer. Getting your name out there is not a strategy. It is an expense. It's not an investment. It's an expense. Getting your name out there is the most expensive way to get a sale. And so when I talk about marketing, I'm talking about what's called direct response marketing, where we're turning strangers into customers. We're taking a stranger from the internet and we're confronting them with either a heck yes or a heck no. We don't want the idea that our name is out there just floating in the universe. No, we want to confront our best ideal customer with a heck yes or a heck no opportunity to do business with us. That is the most trackable. That is the most profitable. That is the easiest way to get a sale. Not the idea of getting your name out there. We all say it. I accidentally say it sometimes, but eliminate that phrase from your vocabulary. Here's why. Getting your name out there costs you an enormous amount of time that you don't have, an enormous amount of ad budget that we don't have as local producers. And so what I'm going to teach you is not just a fun little thing to slap at, but it's an entire way to think about how to get strangers on the internet and convert them into lifelong customers. And so here's the power of that. Here's the power of marketing. This is not the fun thing everybody in here likes talking about, but this is the one that's going to make you the money. And so here's what we'll do. Imagine for a moment, we're living in the 1920s and we're getting up in the morning and we're about to have breakfast. Do you know what the typical American breakfast was in the 1920s? It was black coffee and a roll, a hard roll. That was breakfast for most families in the 1920s. Today, the most common breakfast, even as we're thinking of what breakfast in America looks like, our thoughts are going bacon and eggs, right? Why? How did we go from a hard roll and black coffee in the 1920s to bacon and eggs for breakfast? The answer is marketing. Marketers are the architects of the reality around us. You can become an architect of the reality of what it means to be a meat producer in the US. And so in the 1920s, the Beech Nut Packaging Company needed to sell more bacon. It was not a hot selling item. It wasn't the culinary delicacy it is today, and it wasn't the standard breakfast of today. It was simply extra meat that they needed to get rid of. And we're trying to make this byproduct something that was profitable for them, right? And so they hired a marketer by the name of Edward Bernays, and they tasked him with figuring out how can we market more of our bacon product. And so he put together a marketing campaign. He worked with a doctor to get some reasons on why we should all be eating a big, heavy breakfast in the morning that includes bacon instead of just a hard roll and a coffee on the go, right? And so this doctor kind of gave him some talking points on, hey, listen, a bigger breakfast in the morning will fuel you longer. It's healthier for you. You should be eating bacon and eggs for breakfast, right? And they rolled that marketing campaign out. And today, 70% of Americans have bacon for breakfast. So that's what's possible for us if we can figure out the marketing thing. Now, we're not big marketing agencies here. This isn't even our primary way of existing. We're just trying to sell our product direct to consumer. But that's just a little example of the power of marketing when you hit it right. And so I want to share that story with you as a little bit of an inspiration, but inspiration's not enough. Now we need to talk a little bit about how this works out, where the rubber meets the road when it comes to actually marketing our product direct to consumer. And so when I'm talking about marketing, I'm talking about three M's, okay, to make it easier on us. I call this the triangle of marketing. Marketing, and really what we're talking about, not to get academic here, but really what we're talking about is promotion, right? The promotion. This is not the 5 P's of marketing that you learn in college. This is actual like how to sell stuff to people. And so this is the promotion side of things. And so I like to think of these 3 M's as marketing, the marketing triangle, as we first need to have our market. The second M is we need to have the right message. And the third thing we need to have is the right media. So again, that's the market. That's who you're selling to. So not all customers are created equally, right? Like we're not going to put our grass-fed, grass-finished beef in front of a vegan and try to convince them that, hey, we're raising it better. It's good for the environment. Not bad, I promise, right? So that's a no. So an extreme example of we need to get the market right in the first place. Make sure we know who our ideal customer is. And the second part is we need to have the right message for them, right? So listen, you may have seen your wife love at first sight and knew you were going to marry her in that instant, but you better come in with the right opening line, right? Or the opportunity's gone forever. So we need to have the right message for the right market. And the third is we need to use the right media to reach them. So today, what is that? That's social media, that's email, that's internet marketing in a nutshell. It's where are we putting our message where the right market is going to see our message. And so I like to think of it this way because that was all just like a fancy way of saying we're going to go fishing. We need to use the right bait to attract the fish we're after, and we need to make sure we're fishing in the right pond. Otherwise, we're just, what are we doing here? We're just, we're just sitting around and watching the end of our pole, right? So it's having the right market, knowing who your ideal customer is. It's presenting them with the right message for them, the right thing they need to hear. And then the third is putting that message up in the place they're going to be in the right spots. And so when I'm talking about marketing, at minimum, that's what I mean is the marketing triangle, the 3 M's of market, message, and media. And again, we want to make sure that, hey, if we're going after fish, we want to make sure we know what fish we're going after. We need to know what bait they need to get them on the line. And then we need to make sure we're in the pond, we're in the right pond. And so the 3 M's of marketing. But anytime you choose to do marketing, invest money, create something, I want us thinking in those 3 terms before we do anything else. At bare minimum, do I know who my customer is that I'm trying to reach now? And am I saying the right thing to them that they need to hear? And am I going to post this up somewhere, online, anywhere, even at the farmer's market? You need to make sure if you're going to do the farmer's market thing, not everybody that goes to the farmer's market is your customer. And that is a different type of customer. So are you in the right pond? Do you have the right media? And so the 3 M's of marketing. Now, here's how this ties in to push button beef sales. This is where, what we teach at Farm Rebel, this is what works. And now, again, I know when I say push button beef sales, that's kind of funny. I know it's ridiculous. I even told Cam in the copy that he's reading in this ad, you've probably seen it. We over 2 million producers have, or 2 million times a producer has watched this ad. So Cam comes on and he says, hey, we're going to teach you how to get these results using push button beef sales. And I want you to imagine a little contraption. I want you to imagine a machine where you put beef in on one side, you push a button, and out comes money on the other side, right? Like a toaster, right? You put the beef in, you hit the button, pull the lever, money pops out the top, right? Now that is so ridiculous, but it's an image of that's the level of certainty you should have with your marketing. And here's how we want you to do it. Like, here's the proven way in the day and time that we're living in to do that. There are so many shiny objects that people are trying to sell you, whether it's paid ads on Instagram or Facebook, whether it's starting a podcast. And then there's the traditional dinosaur media where they're selling you a newspaper ad and they're trying to convince you to do TV or radio. Listen, there's tons of ways to reach people today. We have no problem with reaching people. But what is it that takes that stranger from the internet and converts them into a paying customer for life? And the push button beef sales method really breaks down to three things you got to have and do. The first is you need to have a list, in-house list of past and prospective customers, meaning these are people at one point who've raised their hands and they've either made a purchase or said, hey, I'm interested in more information on maybe purchasing from you in the future. You need to have that list. Now, when I say list, there are list brokers out there who will sell you their email list or rent to you their email list. Don't do this. Anytime people start learning marketing, they're like, I need a list. The first thing they do is, who has a list I can get my hands on? Now, that is not the way to do it because you have no idea who those people are. They have no idea who you are. And if you start bombing them with messages, especially on email, you'll be thrown in a promo tab. You'll be thrown into a spam folder. It will be the biggest waste of money you've ever spent in your marketing. So I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't start there. If you're listening to me now and you decide to be a rebel too and try it anyway, make sure you segment that list separately and use a different email address. Okay. Don't do it, but if you do it, right? That's how my parents had to raise me. Don't do this, but if you do it, make sure you do it this way. I'm just hard headed and that's how I learned. But we're not called Farm Rebel for no reason. So if you're going to rent the list, segment it, use a different email so it does not mess with what we're building for our push button meat sales contraption here. So you start with a list of your past customers or prospective customers. People have raised their hand and they said, hey, I need you to sell me your stuff at some point in the future. The second part of push button beef sales is we want to take that specific customer type and we want to give them an offer they can't refuse. Now, this is different things to different customer types, but the number one promo, the number one offer that we have found that works is beef shares, right? Quarter, halves, wholes with a free freezer. So there's kind of like this high value item that they're getting for free, which we all know costs $180 at Home Depot that we could drop ship to a customer's house. The offer we're putting in front of them, they're going to send me a free freezer because, you know, a lot of your best customers, they don't know anything about what we do. They don't know how much 300 pounds of beef looks like and where they're going to put it all. So we just solve that for them, right? We say, hey, we're going to send you a freezer. You're going to put the beef in it. You're going to be fine. Okay. You don't need to even worry about where you're going to put it all. So we found that promo is the best promo for a lot of customer types, especially the ones that will pay a premium price and will come back for more when that freezer gets low. And so there are other offer types, different bundles, different subscriptions that we teach that have been proven over thousands of customers that frankly pay a pretty penny for what it is that we produce. And so a free freezer with the beef share promo, that's an offer that the right customer can't refuse. But here's what I want to warn people. So when people come in our program, they think that's the end all be all. We're just going to sell this promotion until we run the wheels off of it. But really, that's having a product. That's not having a business. You really don't have a business until you have a recurring revenue model. And that's why we are so bullish on selling subscriptions to the right customers. Now, these aren't necessarily people that have the extra freezer space. In a lot of cases, you're selling to metro people who are in cities in tight apartments who want to eat better, who are learning about this, who want to eat better, who don't have room for a freezer. And so you want to sell them a package bundle every month on subscription, auto subscribed. So you're dinging that card every month until they cancel. That is the business model. That predictable cash flow. And oftentimes it's just a matter of putting that in the right language in front of the right customer, right? And so again, whatever you choose and whatever you decide to test, put in an offer that they can't refuse. Now, third, so we have our own in-house list of customers' contact info. We've designed an offer that we know they can't refuse, or that we're going to test to see if they can't refuse it. And then the third thing is we want to write copy. And I just lost so many of you when I said we had to write something. And so that's going to tie into my free gift. So before you leave and you're mad at me, grab my free gift. I have a little copy and paste thing that I want you to try. So if you're leaving because I said we got to write something, please grab that free gift, copy and paste it, and try it. Now, our push button beef sales machine here is the list, it's the offer, and then copy is simply the written word. I don't know why we call it copy. It comes from a Latin word for copia, which means an abundance of something. And so journalists, writers through the years have taken this word copywriting because we're writing on an abundance of words, right? So that's copy is the message part of the three M's we were talking about. And this is what you're going to write to this list of people. And so we at Farm Rebel teach that email marketing is the surest way of delivering this copy, delivering this message. And listen, I know there's all sorts of ways to sell products these days. You can run cold ads on Facebook or Instagram. Even X produces really well. You can run cold ads, meaning to an audience who's never heard of you, they're not looking for you, and suddenly you pop out of nowhere and you can convert a sale out of them based off a cold ad. But it actually takes 5 to 12 messagings, 5 to 12 messages before they actually make a purchase. And so if all you're doing is trying to convert somebody online through an ad, you're missing the majority of those sales. About 80% of the opportunity is just evaporating. And now you have no way to follow up with them for that 5th to 12th offer that you're sending them. And so we encourage you to send an email. And here's the other thing. Social media is great. It's free to post organically these days. And you should if that's something you can do. If you like being on camera, you're good with your iPhone, if you're into all that. But if you're not, and by the way, that takes tons of time, effort, energy. Whereas an email, you can rattle one off in 10, 20 minutes a day. And so the ROI on email, here's why I'm so excited to try to convince a bunch of cowboys to become copywriters today, is that 36 to 1 is the return on that investment. 36 to 1. That's the ROI on email. So for every buck you put into to invest in email marketing, $36 to $40 is on average what you can expect to come back if we've got our 3 M's in balance, the message, the market, and the media, right? So if we're doing that, that is the highest possibility for you to be profitable playing marketing, playing in the marketing sandbox. And so I don't want to overwhelm you with all these cool ideas and things you can write every day and to sell that way. What I want you to do is check out the free gift I sent you or that you have access to. And that is a 7-word email that will instantly get sales, that will instantly get you meet sales. And it's based off the psychology of not some big fancy marketing agency who put together an email for you. It's about the psychology of like a friend were to email you or somebody you know emails you. And so I want you to go in there, check that out. There's no opt-in or anything for it. I literally just pushed a URL to my Google Doc that I have inside of our program. Now at the bottom, here's what I want you to do. Put this idea to work. If you have an email list, send them the 7-word email. I want you to try it for yourself to see if you're getting responses, see if you can start a sales conversation, see if you can sell something. Do it exactly as I've described it in there. And if you get a result, and only if you get a result, scroll to the bottom of that during to the buy line that I've sent. Click on the link, and we'll walk you through a consultation of how we might be able to help you at Farm Rebel. But what we don't want to do is get you on a call if you've never heard of us, get you on a call if you don't try this for yourself. We want you to get results first. And so that's my challenge to you today. If you're watching this, copy and paste the email in the 7-word email gift that I've provided and start putting some of these ideas to test. We can talk theory all day when it comes to marketing. And trust me, there's plenty of blowhards out there with with some theory, but let's just try the thing. Let's put it to work. And then if it works, we can start walking you through a strategy to sell more of your farm products direct to consumer. I did see a couple questions pop up. Jerrett, is it cool if I just take a couple of these really quick? I know I have just a
Yeah.
few minutes left.
Yep. That'd be great. Yeah. If you can read them, that'd be good. If not, I can think.
I'll
Okay. One
say
of them was about emails going to junk. What can be done about that?
a lot of things. So that's a whole other 30-minute session plus. But here's a couple things to do. You can segment your email service provider. So in your email service provider, you can segment your list over people who segment your list to people who have opened your emails in the last 6 months. Not Don't mail to everybody that's on the list because you will get flagged for that, especially Google. If and that's primarily who people are using for emails these days. So if we're taking Google off, they're going to punish us. So first thing is don't send to everybody on your list all at once. Segment your list out into people who have opened, let's say in the last 12 months, more really in the last 6 months. Those are your most engaged. And so take that segment and only promote to them. Every now and then send one to that whole list just to see if you can get somebody else. But after a while, they're gone. They're just gone to spam folders, the promo tab.
Yeah.
Another thing
Yeah.
is don't use the word free. Don't use the word click. Be very careful on these spammy marketing words that guys like me love to use all the time. And those words can get filtered out. And you can, by the way, easily Google words that are getting filtered out by email spam filters and promo tabs. You can actually find lists of that online and just reword how you're saying things.
Yeah.
Multiple. Now, this is something I violate all the time. Don't use multiple pointing clicks and links to other things. Try to keep your email focused to just one click or just one link. And now you can use that link 3 to 5 times in your copy. But don't try to push people to different things and different calls to action. Try to keep that a focused email at a time. Another hack that, again, because the majority of people are using some version of a Google email these days, whether it's through corporate or through a free Google account, in Gmail. Okay, this is fun. Two things you can do. Not in the 7-word email, by the way. Don't do what I'm about to say in the 7-word email. Follow that strategy exactly how I have it laid out in the free gift. But if you're sending emails, try linking to Google products. Here's what I mean. Maybe have a Google Doc explaining how your farm story. Maybe you're explaining how you regeneratively raise your product. Maybe you have maybe you can create a doc in Google Docs on how much freezer space you need based on the size of order you place. Whatever you can do, get into Google Docs, create a free doc, and then link that in your email. So that's one example of a Google product within the email. Link Google products in your email. If you're comfortable with people knowing where your farm is, use the link to your Google directions, right? Google Maps. Take that link and put it in your email. And so the more of those things you do, and as frequently as you do it, Google will start saying, oh, and by the way, YouTube is owned by Google. If you got a video, use that. So
Gotcha. Gotcha. Cool.
link
Cool.
Google products because you know, they'll they want you on their products using their stuff. So go ahead and try that. The third thing is have a long bio that you can keep in your regular emails. like about your mission, who you serve, your passion, try having a long about us section in the footnotes of your email. So if you're using an ESP or an email service provider, there's usually a section on this, and they usually want you to have information in there. Try stacking all that information in there, because I don't know the thought process behind why they tend to give preference to those emails, but I know a guy who was selling, I don't want to blow up his company. Well, we'll just say he sells prepper stuff to people like us. And he copy and pasted the United States Constitution and put it in his footer. And his email rates, his deliverability went through the roof. And so obviously that's a message market media match for people like us anyway. And so figure out what that might be, your about us, your farming practices and principles, copy and paste that into the footer of your emails. It'll just stay there. And that's another thing. There was like one more quick
Nice.
there was one more quick one, Jared.
It's about how to start from nothing when you have a not a
How to
list.
develop a list when
Yeah.
starting out at ground zero. So if you have well, a couple ways. The first one is the easiest one. If you have customers who have ordered from you, grab their email, especially if they've used credit, debit, and you have a payment system for that. Snatch those, put them on a list. The second thing to do is get into Facebook groups of your ideal customer type and just start sharing about your farm. Don't make an offer, just share about the farm and give a link. So if it's homeschool moms, if it's carnivore dieters, if it's athletes, if it's CrossFitters, um, any of those, start thinking of who your ideal customer is, get in Facebook groups, give value in those groups. That's one way. Push them to your website, have a place to capture their email. Make sure that's all over your website, how to capture email. Doing giveaways with partners who have the attention of your ideal audience. Again, if it's a gym, if it's a mom group, who has the attention of your ideal customer, offer to do a partnership with them. Say, hey, I want to help you create some content. We have a shared audience. I want to do a giveaway of some product. Will you promote it to your people? And so get on Instagram, follow those people, DM them that opportunity. That is one of the quickest ways to build the list of your ideal customer. All right. I said that as fast as I could, Jared.
That was awesome. Jerrett, thank you so very much.
My
Let's
pleasure.
again, I'd love to get the takeaways. I know not everybody is in direct marketing, but the regenerative, it seems like they go together really well, Jerrett. So thank you for covering that piece. In our survey, there was a lot of people who said they wanted more about direct marketing. And so that was awesome.